matters. On Matters. Mondays to Fridays, 12 to 3 p.m.
Well, good afternoon, Abuja. I do hope you're having a very good Friday afternoon. TGIF. In a couple of hours, we'll be winding down from work. We'll be going home to relax. For those that want to turn up, we'll be turning up. But before that, we're going to turn up in the studios here. It's a roundup of everything that has happened in the world of politics to begin the show. And of course, after that, we do a roundup of the entertainment scene. Today, we are having a very interesting panel on both segments. We get into the issues that we've discussed all week, starting with the NLC and the ultimatum given to the, to the administration of the federal government, down to the situation that happened with, the courts, or the situation that happened at the courts between the DSS operatives and the correctional service people, how they wanted to, do and all of that. Yes, I'm in a very good mood today. Yes, I want to tone it down a little bit. It's been a very hard week for a lot of Nigerians, and in as much as we're discussing very serious issues, I think we do need to take a break sometimes. After all, the people who are in charge of helping our lives get better are using us to catch cruise. If you take it too seriously, you might just lose your mind. And that is just on period. That's about what it is. That being said, I'm not alone in the studio today. Of course, we're still going to talk about Asari Dokubo. Someone reached out to me on social media and said I have an obsession with the man. And I said, just maybe I do. Just maybe if we had an obsession with other non-state actors, they wouldn't have gotten to where they are now. If we had an obsession with them in the early stage of when they started what they started, we would have been able to nip it in the bud. Today, I happen to be privileged to have a conversation with two people that are very, very vast. They are well known in this terrain. They live, breathe, eat, drink politics and the world around it. None of them are strangers to the show. None of them are strangers to the station. I do have Ade Folarin, Ade Farasi, Olamilekon. Yes, where did I get Ade Farasi? It's from the news. It's from the news. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio today, sir. Oh no, it's more than a pleasure. It's an honor having you in the house with us today. And I have Abu. I apologize. We do have Aliu in the house today. Aliu, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
We started off this morning on business around town, and we were going, and in my head I'm like, hey, we need to calm down and wait until it is time for the political roundup today on matters, so that we can look at these issues. Thank you very much, Aliu Doma, for joining us. So part of the panel today will be Aliu Doma and Olamilekon Ade Folarin.
Yes,
in the house. Thank you very much. Do stay tuned. I have bills to pay. It's 12:25 p.m. Of course, it's time for us to rush to the market. When we come back from the market, we're going to start to deal with the issues that bother us as a country. Don't forget, today, this is the episode where phone lines are very, very open. You have enough time. Call in, rant. Let us know what you think. It is Voice of the People. It's about your voice.
We have been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up, speak up.
award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and cold-berry ice cream. Ice cream is good. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and cold-berry ice cream. At number 4, Odomosho Street, Area 8, Genki, Abuja, or 3rd Avenue, Gwaripa, Abuja, or Federal Housing Estate, Phase 2, Lube, Abuja. Call 0908-831-5906 or 0908-831-5908 or 0909-238-9861. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at rumourspizza.ng. Website www.rumourspizza.ng. Romeo, the pizza champions. Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafty Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos Airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me.
Microphone check, 1 2 1 2. Now you have a voice. 1 2 1 2. Cause everybody talking 96.1. Hold up, what's up? 96.1. Don't raise your voice, voice it out. Now you have a voice, just voice it. We are Voice of the People 96.1 FM at Abuja.
Let's get into the matters for today. Thank you for staying with us, and it's about time for us to get into business. On the night, that's on the 26th of July. That was when this broke out. The Nigerian Labour Congress gave a nationwide strike notice beginning on the 2nd of August to protest the removal of fuel subsidy by the federal government. And although no official statement was issued as at the time that this news broke out, now there is an official statement, of course. Its spokesperson, Ben Upa, confirmed the strike plan to an online newspaper on Wednesday. In his words, he said, yes, the nationwide strike will commence on the 2nd of August, and we will soon issue a communique to that effect. Well, however, we gathered that Congress gave the government 7 days to reverse all perceived anti-poor policies, failing which it proceeded on the industrial action. Now, initially, when this broke out, we know that the president had, come out and said, "Oh no, don't do it. Give us some time." And then when they gave them the time, all that could happen was an order came out to restrain them from going on strike. Hausa people will say, "Kaduke yaro kahana shikuka." You beat a child and tell the child not to cry. That kind of seems like it, because correct me if I'm wrong, people would say that the only way that one of the major ways that the displeasure Nigerians can show their displeasure is the right to protest and go on strikes. And if you now go to the courts and you stop them from being able to exercise that basic right that they do have to protest against policies that don't work for them, then you're beating them and asking them not to cry. Practically about that, they are saying to give them time to do what they want to do. Now the NLC has also come out to say we have not even started to talk about the 617 naira increment. We are still on the 520. We are still on the 520. We haven't gotten to the 617.
Depends, 490 to 540.
Yes, so they are still on the first increment. They haven't moved to the second because the price of crude oil has gone up. Nigerians are currently anticipating another increase again that is coming. We are waiting to hear what is going to come out in the books. Please, what are your thoughts towards these happenings with the NLC, the whole back and forth? Someone will call it a bromance between the NLC and the NLC, the NUC, and the federal government.
I think what is happening is expected in the sense that it's an industrial action that we normally use to call the attention of government to order, in the sense that if you check history of how Nigerians have always showed their grievances, have shown their annoyance, it is through the platform of either NLC, TUC, or student union platform, or other any radical platform that we normally use. That is the general protest or general demonstration or general grievances that people will show to the government is through this platform. But however, what is happening right now is as a result of which most of us already understand, subsidy has been removed and government want to make money through that subsidy removal. They want to save money, they want to use money for developmental purpose. But the impact, which is quite negative on the economy, is what most of us are not comfortable with. And the only way that government can understand that this is not comfortable with the people is for the NLC, the TUC, and other labor union to voice out, especially the official quarters. Now, NLC is representing the official unions. Now, those ones that are not from the official quarters, maybe that are in the informal sector, they don't have any other platform to show than to say, okay, let us see what NLC will do. Then maybe from whatever NLC will do, we'll now join them to carry out protests or carry out strike. And that is why at the end of the day, you see that when they say strike, it is the civil servant that will not go to work. But ordinary businessman that is selling up on the road, the woman that is selling up selling, they will continue their business. But government normally feel the impact of empower and that will oil the economy of the country. Imagine the airport being shut down, the port being shut down, and banks also can begin to have a skeletal operation. They talk about the hospital also having shut down, the schools are shut down. So all these sectors of the economy will be shut down based on the numbers of people who are working there, who are officially recognized by the government. And it's a great danger to the economy. And that's why government normally do a proactive response. Like what the president is saying, please, can you give us some time? Nigerians are not, the time Nigerians are giving the government has elapsed, in my own understanding, in the sense that they would have acted. Although most of us have complained that why did you come out with the removal of subsidy in the first place when you don't have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G? You get it. But now that it has happened, can you really do one or two things? Although we also get it that there are about 7 areas that the government is looking at in terms of palliative, in terms of responding to the issues. But what make the unions, the NLC, to be angry was the issue of giving Nigerians 8,000 naira. That's why they get upset by saying that no. When we talk about palliative, we have agreed that there is no palliative that has to do with cash transfer. If you check the 7 items they talk about reviving the refinery, the fourth refinery. They talk about ensuring stable supply of the PMS into the market. They talk about ensuring that we have mass transport that can quickly cushion the effect in the urban centers. they are not even mentioning the rural areas in this regard. They also talk about issues that will ensure that when money are saved from this particular subsidy, it can be put into developmental purpose. These are the 7 key areas they talk about. But here we are, government just went behind and talk about 500 billion to be shared at 80,000 naira to them, and that's why they get angry. Now the issue of the price, which for me as an economist, I know that the price when it comes to the NLC may not have much understanding to be able to fight for that, because the TUC themselves know that the price is what is owing them as workers in most of the affiliates that are in the oil and gas sector. So we may not go into the price. They may not even talk about the price because they know that the price is benefiting some allied members of their union one way.
When you say the price now, you mean the price of fuel?
Yes, because if you check at it, who are the people working in the oil and gas sector? We have Pengas, we have Nupeng, we have what they call it, petrol dispenser unit organization. They have employees of a petroleum company, different unions that are benefiting from the sales of those prices. So do you think the unions who knows that they are getting dues from that will go against the price?
No, I mean, at this point, can we even say that there's anything that can be done about the price? Because it is the price that it should be. And the factors that are putting the price there's the market, there's the market forces that they talk about. There's, of course, the fact that the naira is seriously going down as fast as it can. It's like there's that factor as well that is really affecting the price of the fuel. I think what the NLC and the TUC should be concerned about is, or should be pushing for the most, is what are we going to do to be able to bring this, to be able to make the lives of people slightly better. Nigeria still buys, we still buy one of the cheapest fuels in the world.
Definitely, but we are not supposed to. We are not supposed to.
Yeah, but I know we are not supposed to. But in other climes where they buy petrol expensive, gas, they buy petrol, they buy fuel expensive. They have other things that make them not feel it as much as we do here. The last couple of months have been the toughest Nigerians have faced in a very long time.
Seriously.
The World Bank is saying more Nigerians in the millions are about to join the poverty line. They are about to get into abject poverty. We are not even talking about the mental effect it has on people. Imagine someone that can cater for himself and his family. All of a sudden, you have to cut down from your lifestyle. You're probably living in a 3-bedroom apartment. You have to cut down, start living in a 1-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood that you would have never thought that you would. You are cutting down on things you can eat. You probably do have children. These are the real life problems Nigerians are dealing with. You have children in schools. You have to remove your children from private schools, put them in public schools. Even the children, they are being affected mentally by this. A lot of people are facing the financial.
Before we talk about what the government can do or the NLC can do in terms of regulating the price of the product that is petrol in Nigeria, PMS, you should understand that yes, in Nigeria we have little room for negotiation in terms of pressing home our demand, and that is why the NLC resort to strike action or protest, because the absence of other alternative dispute resolution mechanism in place in the country will also push us to go into that. But again, if you look at it as a responsibility of the NLC to press home demand of the Nigerian workers and Nigerian population entirely, they try to make an effort when the government on the 5th of June resort to court injunction to stop them from embarking on a planned strike that was supposed to have take effect on the 7th of June. And when the order was the issue was for hearing on the 19th of July, the court still affirmed the fact that they should not embark on strike, which means on their own part they felt aggrieved by the government's approach in that situation. But again, they had an understanding with the government that the government demanded for 8 weeks to go home and sit down and discuss. After presenting their demands to the government say, okay, we've heard your demand, and we will go back home now and sit down. Give us 8 weeks so that we will be able to look at your demands and also give you our own ways of providing palliative for Nigerians to be able to alleviate the suffering as Nigerians are passing through.
I mean, doesn't
before
it,
then
before
this 8 weeks elapsed, because up till now that as we speak it has not elapsed. It's supposed to be mid of next month, that is August, but the government went behind
and come up with the whole,
and also requested for 500 billion naira from the National Assembly approval, talking about the supplementary appropriation bill of 2022 for this issue to be taken care of. So the idea is that the NLC did not even conclude on this is what we are going to do with the government, but you government now have gone behind and start demanding and even telling Nigerians this is what you are going to give Nigerians to alleviate or to soften the impact of the subsidy removal, which there is no sincerity on the part of the government. That is first.
And you can't even blame the NLC for being upset. Besides the fact that they went behind them, there's the question of, well, can we even trust you to give this money? How do we know that this cash thing that you are insisting on doing is actually going to get to the people that you want to get to? How many families do we have in Nigeria? How do we even know the number of Nigerians that we do have? We are still working with the 2006 census. This is 2023. How do we know how many Nigerians we are? What data are we going to use to follow to know that you're being honest about this? Are you just trying to swindle Nigerians? And that is not even one thing for a question. What bothers me the most about this is the fact that we are talking about you're asking for 8 weeks. Did you not know that this policy that you are going to at this point is becoming funny? If you're making a decision, I like to make an example with a household. You are the head of a household and you are deciding that I'm going to reduce the money I'm going to give to madam to cook for the family, to buy food stuff. Wouldn't you at the back of your mind know that means that the quality of the food that will be given would reduce and the quantity as well? I don't know if you understand. Before these policies are being rolled out, you should have looked at the fact that there will be consequences. I mean, we're talking about a nation, the most populous black nation in the world. This is not a small number of people we are talking about. This is not a little number of lives that are going to be affected in this. And you didn't think about it. When these policies were rolled out, several Nigerians, myself included, applauded the presidency. I was like, okay, he knows what should be done. He's not afraid of getting it done. He's getting it done because we believed. I'm talking for myself now. I personally believed, this man knows very well to not hurriedly do this blindly. He has, before he became president, he had a plan. And as soon as he came in, it's just time for him to roll it out. And now you have done it. And that's all. There's nothing more. Because asking for 8 weeks just confirms that they weren't prepared for this.
I think to buttress what you have said is to also I like what you have said. One thing about governance is the people who occupy government office, the moment you are there, like once someone says, the moment you are in government office, maybe you are appointed political aide or whatever, governor, president, whatever, there is a new character that comes into you, like this new spirit that just wear you out.
It's power now.
Exactly. Especially you may have that opportunity to be very sincere before you enter government, but once you enter there is a challenge, like the one about insincerity that we have quickly pointed out in that discussion right now. Now, not that people don't have trust for government, especially with this labor issue that NLC had opportunity to go into closed door meeting with them. They had trust that okay, we are going to work on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 areas, 7 key areas. Then why do you go behind and begin to start something else that you know that will give opportunity for misappropriation, corruption, and embezzlement of government fund? That aspect alone was shocking to NLC. Now another aspect is this: we all know that the government or President Tinubu know what he wants to do, but how many of his lieutenants are even interested in ensuring that he do the right thing for Nigerians? Because that is where this subsidy issue becomes something that many people are now afraid that going forward, because right now there is opportunity for us to make money. In June alone, we made 1.65 trillion naira as revenue. Out of it, the oil, the crude oil contributed about 125 billion to it. And that was one of the first time that NNPC will be giving money to the government since last year.
And you do know that the Serap, sorry to cut you right there, Serap came out and asked the presidency, can we have accountability? Can you begin by showing us what this money that has been saved, this money that NNPC has given to you people for the first time, that you've saved, that Nigerians are breaking their back for? Let there be accountability. What is it going to be used for? What has it been used for? Let Nigerians see that they are not suffering for nothing.
Exactly.
Silence.
And as we speak right now, there is no response on that.
Absolutely, silence.
We know that we may get response in the next 6 months, but right now there is no response. But what we are driving at is this. In as much as the government will want to work with labor, because the message will be passing out is this: why don't you work with labor with what you have agreed upon? The 8 weeks you guys agreed is still open. You can still work out, but don't go behind labor and do something that will be more detrimental to Nigerians in a way that people will not trust you again. Because Tinubu coming to power, people have been to have a little trust for governance, but within the last 6 weeks, people are losing that trust as we speak right now.
Absolutely, and I think I'm going to attribute that to the lack of transparency. We're not saying you're doing anything shady, but when you start to behave as though you're doing something shady, I mean, with the way that Nigerians are right now, since the beginning of democracy in this country, we have been given more reasons to not trust the government than to trust the government.
Exactly. The thing is, issue of trust is not all about what you come out to say that matters when you're talking about trust. It's what you do. And how do you build trust, or how do you gain trust? Is by you delivering on what you earlier promised. If I said I will do this and I'm able to deliver countless times, you will automatically develop that level of trust on me. But if I said I would do this and at the end of the day I do contrary to what I said I was going to do, then definitely that level of trust would start shaking,
dwindle down.
And that is exactly what is happening in this country.
Exactly. Remember yesterday we said this on I think Business Around Town, the textbook thing, the copy and paste. It's always looking great on paper. It's always nice during interviews and press releases and every time we are saying a lot of big English here and there, is making sense, but we don't see it materialize.
Exactly. And
several times.
And there's nothing wrong in copying. Currently, CBN just raised the interest rate to 18.75. Now, I think the US was to announce their own yesterday. South Africa announced their own 2 days back, that 8.8% increase in interest rate. Turkey increased their own to 17% interest rate also, and several European countries and other African countries are increasing. There is nothing wrong, but using interest rate to fight inflation is the wrongest policy that the CBN have been implementing. And other countries are not fighting inflation alone with interest rate, but they fight inflation with other parameters that they use in the economy. But here in Nigeria, we are using interest rate to fight inflation, which has not worked for us, and truly it will never work.
I mean, what are the chances? What are the chances? Every time something beautiful, now we are getting to a place where people don't believe nothing anymore. One of the reasons why, back to talking about trust now, one of the reasons why Nigerians started to have their hopes being lifted a little bit after this new administration came into play was we saw President Tinubu say a thing, and as soon as he said it, it started to be. The moment he said fuel subsidy is gone, in 2 days, everything was in place. It was gone. The NNPC had to do what they had to do. Everything was in place. We were moving strong. Nigerians are like, okay. They said, oh, let's float the naira. Bam. It started to go. God with Emefiele, there's something
another
about
policy
it.
that is hitting us hard.
Oh, it is hitting us hard.
Exactly.
Suspend the CBN governor and probe him. Nigerians are like, okay. And then we see him being suspended. We see him being held by the DSS. People are like, okay, this might just be a start of something new. He started to win a lot of people that didn't even want him during the campaign over to himself. And people are like, okay, maybe we're on the right path. And then all of a sudden, what is mitigating this? Silence. Okay, in the month of June we've been able to save so and so amount of money. Okay, what did you do with the money? Silence. Okay, what, you've arrested the governor of the suspended governor of the CBN. What are you charging him to court with? Gun possession. There's a lot of ridiculousness going on. Is that okay? Wait, we were afraid that this is going to be a repeat of what we've been seeing since the beginning of democracy in this country. We were afraid that it would be that, and now you're making every single fear of Nigerians come to pass times 2, because nobody expected. If someone would have told me that from Airport Road to Area 1 you'll be paying 600 naira, 650 naira, I wouldn't believe it.
Exactly.
If anybody would have told me I'll pay 12,000 naira from Abuja to Jos, I wouldn't believe it. I would. The first time when they told me it was 12,000 naira, I was like, what? That's what you pay from Abuja to the east. It's a 4-hour trip. I don't know if you understand it. The cost of living is these are not policies that don't immediately affect the lives of people. And now we are starting to see reason why other administrations were dragging leg.
Although to respond to that in terms of the high cost of living, especially with the effect of first subsidy removal, goes back to one of the key issues that the labor is: can we fix our 4 refineries?
Can we
help the local refineries, the modular refineries? There are about 8 of them. And I was also told yesterday about 4 are under construction right now in the south side of the country. A new modular refinery is being built in Edo 2. Then another 2 in Bayelsa currently now. Apart from the 8, they are already existing. But what are the challenges of these 8? They can't buy crude, and NNPC want to sell crude to them in dollar. And NLC is intervening that can we have this crude sell to these guys in naira so they can produce. Although most of them, their capacity is between 1,000 cracking of a crude oil to about 15,000 to 20,000. They don't have that capacity to crack in millions, but they can crack at least 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 and produce.
And that will cover. That will cover something.
Something. I think it could give us some maybe 200,000 liters of fuel that can be supplied within that area in a day or 2. You get it? But what is the government doing? And this have been thrown to the government as a proposal that this modular refinery remove the politics that have been that have entangled the decision or administration of the oil and gas in Nigeria towards this set of people, but try as much as to accommodate them in the local content that we have been talking about, because there's a policy about local content in Nigeria, and that local content will allow, especially with the instrumentality of PIA, Petroleum Industrial Act, that have deregulated this particular sector, will allow these private sectors to invest and also have trust in putting their money in where they're supposed to put their money in their oil and gas. But here we are, the government is not listening, but we hope they can listen to us.
Well, we really do hope that they listen, because I mean, right from the get-go of this entire situation, several Nigerians have come out to prefer solutions, to prefer like, okay, this if you do this, go that way, it will work. We've seen Nigerians that we know have the technical know-how come out to say, okay, we can even offer these services pro bono. At this point, we just want the nation to work.
Exactly.
No response, and someone will start to question whether or not we have the same interests, because at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at the back and forth that is going on with the NLC, and if you go into the nitty-gritty, the details of the conversations between the federal government and the NLC and whatnot, you begin to wonder, why are you sounding like you're on 2 different sides? Are we not all supposed to be on the same side trying to make things work?
The truth is that we're supposed to be on the same side, but reverse is the case.
Absolutely.
Simply because of personal interest and lack of political will to discharge some of these things. You talk about issue of refinery. Yes, we have 4 refineries rather, not functional. They are still working on it, but if you look at the cost that was involved, that was expense in terms of maintaining those refineries from the last 2 decades, it will wow you. You'll be surprised at what is happening in Nigeria. If Dangote as an individual who owns business, though I could say it's a conglomerate of different persons coming together to build a refinery of 650,000 barrel capacity per day, and Nigeria as a nation, we could not maintain our own. That 4 put together is around 450,000 barrel capacity per day. I mean, we should be asking ourselves questions. What is the problem?
Absolutely.
Do we really understand how to go about in this country?
No, I don't think that understanding is the problem. I think what to do, it's obvious that what to do is not the problem. We know what to do.
Definitely.
We are not alien to what to do.
Why are we not doing it?
We are not willing to do it. At this point, that is what is starting to look like the Nigerian factor.
And again, the Nigerian factor, you want to draw me to the Nigerian factor. The Nigerian factor is there something that, Nigerian factor is really a myth. For me, is a myth. because we cannot even identify what is the Nigerian factor.
We know what it is. We don't want to call it what it is.
The Nigerian factor. Someone told me on the sister platform last night that the Nigerian factor is the systemic character of the Nigerian people.
See, I don't even believe
it is the systemic, but it has to do with some individual. It's supposed to be a cabal because it is all about some people who are running.
If we say cabal,
yes,
it trickles down to every member of Nigerian society.
No, but why is it that the same members of Nigerian society leave the Nigerian? This is where when they leave Nigeria, they don't need an orientation. They automatically adjust and start to do the right thing. The Nigerian factor is everything that Aliu first mentioned. It is the greed and all the conniness of the Nigerian man.
If you look at the oil sector now, if we are talking about who are benefiting the more, there are few individuals who are making money that will continue to frustrate the effort of whosoever that want to set that industry right. That is why the government refineries cannot work.
Exactly.
Same if you go to issue of power, the people who are into importing generators set into Nigeria and making a lot of millions and billions from it will not allow our power to work. So it is now the responsibility of the government.
You are not coming back to my comment. Now, the Nigerian society now, people who work for people who are importing generator, they will never pray that business should spoil.
But I'm not working for people.
No, for you, you are not working.
You are also not. You are also not. So there are a lot of Nigerians who are not working for.
But we are somehow connected to them one way or the other. If those guys go broke, they run to us.
But left for us with our own decision, we would not support them.
Do you know what I think the problem is? I think the fundamental problem of the Nigerian man is the lack of patriotism. Let me explain it. The reason why nations like the US would thrive, and you will see a United States citizen want to literally gun you down if you decide to do something anti the US, is because that nation was built on the back of either his father or his grandfather. I probably have an uncle or a cousin who doesn't have a leg right now simply because he went to go and fight for the nation. While I was growing up, I was indoctrinated that the first thing that matters is my country.
Exactly.
In Nigeria, before you are Nigerian, you are either Christian or Muslim. Then you are either Efik or Igbo or Yoruba or Hausa. Then you are either rich or poor or something before you are now Nigerian. We are not indoctrinated to have the love of a country. When this became very clear to me was 20th of October 2020 when I saw on Instagram live, I watched that live, I couldn't go to bed, at the Lekki toll gates. Someone was on the ground and a flag was used to cover the person's body and the person was bleeding. If that happened in the US or in the UK, I know it's not fair to compare us and our how many years of existence with them, but if it happened there, it's very probable that the nation will be shut down because the flag has been stained. But nobody cared. It was just a piece of cloth. You can start a riot in another country. If you want to have fight now between us, and carry their flag and burn it.
That's you have declared war.
Burn our flag anywhere. We only go and fight on Twitter because that's it. That's where the patriotism of the average Nigerian man ends and starts. We don't understand. You see that family. That family is our own turn. That is the problem of the Nigerian man. You are an individual first before you are a Nigerian, and that is not what it's supposed to be.
And that is the biggest problem that is killing us in this country.
That is the Nigerian factor, my brother. Let me go pay some bills and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Conversation definitely continues after the break.
We have been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up, speak up.
The
Award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and Coldberry ice cream. Ice cream? Let's go! Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and Coldberry ice cream. At number 4, Ozomoso Street, Area 8, Genki, Abuja, or 3rd Avenue, Guaripa, Abuja, or Federal Housing Estate, Phase 2, Lube, Abuja. Call 0908-831-5906 or 0908-831-5908 or 0909-238-9861. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at rumospizza.ng. Website www.rumospizza.ng. Romeo, the pizza champions. Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafty Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. Traveling to Lagos and design the perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos Airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With story views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com. Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me.
Headphones on.
Headphones on.
Microphone in position.
Microphone in position. Oh!
Decks on.
What you doing with that thing? Decks on.
Tapes on.
Tapes on.
Volume on.
Volume on.
Music. The best music.
Keep it locked, cause you will be shocked.
Thank you for staying with us. Still Matters Freestyle Friday. Basically, right now we're doing the political roundup. I'm Chinwe Blessing. With me in the studio, we've been having a beautiful conversation with Ade Folarin. With Ade Folarin, yes, Ade Folarin Olamileko, and of course Ali Udoma. Yes, let's get back into it. Just before the break, we were discussing the NLC, the TUC strike action that is planned for August 2nd. I'm personally looking forward to seeing whether or not the strike is going to happen or is not going to happen. And one of the reasons why is the next story we are going to be having taken. It just goes to show that there is hardly a regard for the rule of law in Nigeria. If the NLC would go ahead, of course we understand why they did what they did. Emotions can get in play and all of that, but then there's a court order. Is the judiciary, you are supposed to respect them. They are if they say jump, you jump. If they say don't jump, don't jump. But right in the compound, right there in the premises of a federal high court, two security agencies were exchanging blows. Let's look at the details of this issue. A lot of condemnation has trailed the conduct of the Department of State Services at the Federal High Court in Lagos on Tuesday during the court appearance of the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. Before I go ahead, I just need to right here say that the amount of drama surrounding Godwin Emefiele is astounding. I'm impressed because it's like once you hear his name, he's about to hit. He doesn't hit small. He's always going for the jugular. But that was on a very lighter note. The DSS took Emefiele before the court for arraignment on Tuesday, but while they did, they rearrested and whisked him away, despite the fact that the court had granted him bail. Now, the court ordered that he should be remanded in the Ikoyi facility of the Nigerian Correctional Service. The situation led to a clash between the DSS operatives and the prison officials. Emefiele was arraigned on 2 counts of illegal firearms possession before Justice Nicholas Owebo. He was brought before the court in a white Hilux accompanied by heavily armed DSS operatives. On arrival on the court premises on Tuesday, Emefiele, who wore a white jalamia, this is us just painting the picture for you because it's radio and all, and he looked pretty frail. I mean, he's been in DSS custody. If he didn't, we would have been questioning whether he was being interrogated or not. He was immediately whisked into the courtroom. When charges were read to him, the suspended CBN boss, however, pleaded not guilty. The defense lawyer, Joseph Daudu SAN, who led 4 other senior advocates, moved the application for his bail. But the DSS counsel, Mrs. Nkiru Jones' neighbor, objected to the bail, saying that she had not been served with a copy of the application. However, Justice Owebo, in a ruling, granted Emefiele bail to the sum of 20 million naira with one shorty in like sum, which I would like to talk about for a little bit. Do we think that first of 2 questions about it, 20 million naira with one shorty in like sum for a CBN governor, does it sound like it's enough money, or is it a fair amount to put on that? That's one. Then tantamount to the offense that he is being held for. There are gun charges. Should he be asked to provide that much money? Let's begin there.
Expectedly, he may not be asked to provide that kind of money. Expectedly, but because of the consequence of what the DSS put the charges on him for, if you understand where they are coming from. And again, we should also understand that this is not the real charges that the DSS is coming with. It's because DSS may not have the power to prosecute him, especially on the issue of economic sabotage. That the policy, if you look at the moves of every Nigeria now, we are divided. There are people who supported him at this point in time, and there are people who were against his activities when he was a CBN governor. That's why you can see that many Nigerians were like, okay, they support him because now he's now our own. That Nigerian factor you are talking about now, it has come into the issue of Emefiele. Many of them who are supporting have easily forgotten how they cost him when that policy was so hot. But where we now have issue is this: when the court say ABC, why you do go against the ABC? But where I have issue is this with the particular matter that is on is this. Now, the DSS was the one that have been taking the Emefiele to court. They have been the one keeping him in their custody.
Oh, don't forget that they didn't want to let him go.
Definitely.
There had to be an ultimatum. There had to be an order. If you do not charge him within the next couple of days.
And that's why they quickly come up with that issue, that charges of gun running or whatever. But that is not the issue they want to charge him on. It is about economic sabotage. But because
shouldn't they appeal the judgment of his of his bail being granted, of him being granted bail, or even appeal him being put in the correctional service?
That's what is expected of them to do. But because of the political drama within the circle of what Emefiele did when he was CBN governor, especially with the Naira swap policy, people have been asking, when he was the governor of CBN, he said we destroy all the 1,000 naira and the 500 naira. But what are we spending today? Those are the issues that people are the people who are critical are taking him on, and that is the area that the DSS want to come up, because DSS doesn't have that power to pursue this kind of case.
Who has the power?
Is the EFCC.
So why is the EFCC not doing it?
For now, the person that was EFCC chair when Emefiele was CBN governor is also in the custody of the DSS. That's why I said for now they are just using all these small
I mean, this is going to beg the question: are we working with agencies and organizations here or individuals? Because if today, pardon me for using something as extreme as death, but say that takes away the person that was heading a particular agency or organization, does that mean that every other thing that was going on would automatically go and disappear?
It depends on the presidency. At this point in time, the presidency is dictating what should be done.
Should that be? Is the EFCC and the DSS not supposed to be independent on their own?
Definitely they're supposed to.
Yeah, really, if you look at this situation, it's really a show of shame that we saw at the court premises in Lagos. First of all, if you look at the situation concerning Emefiele, yes, just like you said, there are charges that are supposed to be brought up by the DSS against Emefiele, but because they lack the jurisdiction to do that, that's why they had to use the illegal possession of firearms to take him before the court. And before then, we should not forget that there were two separate court orders instructing the DSS to charge Emefiele to a court, but they failed to, not until on Tuesday, where we saw that drama ensued. And based on what they brought before the court, that is actually a bailable offense. Remember, yes, he was in possession of illegal firearm without due process, but it's not as if the arm was used to perpetrate any heinous act. So it is bailable. That is why the court granted him bail on those conditions. And ordinarily, based on the responsibility that everyone has, it is the responsibility of the correctional services officers to now take him to their custody, pending when they perfect the bail conditions, then he will be released. But unfortunately, what we saw there was something out of ordinary. Don't forget the overzealousness of these DSS operatives recently is something that we have to take note of.
I mean, when they
Lagos,
had started.
Sorry, let me land. In Lagos,
sorry.
When a few days after President Tinubu assumed office, they went and laid siege in the premises of EFCC, preventing them from entering their offices. Again, in Abuja, we had information allegedly that they came and tried to effect an arrest in Asokoro, where they had altercation with police officers, where they were firing gunshots in the air.
In a residential neighborhood.
Just a couple of days before this court issue. This thing happened last week.
The DSS used to, is it just me, or the DSS used to be like secret people? Nobody knew who the DSS was. Nobody, they were just, when they called them SSS, they were, you don't know them. They were secret.
They were secret police.
They were like shadows. You knew they existed, but you couldn't pinpoint who they are. And now they're starting to behave like they are private security or the private of the president
and
or
the
presidency.
Privileged information has it that when they were even asked because the judge there put a call across to someone we feel in a higher authority, and they were told that this order came from above for him to be rearrested. But again, order coming from above, that is what we say. Because if you are challenging the court, it's automatically you are challenging the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. And there is no individual or institution that is bigger than the Constitution.
I mean, what I'm thinking is, if you are above the court as an agency and you have an above, why do you have a lawyer? Why do you have a lawyer that is, because they do have a lawyer. They actually do have an SAN she was the person that went and she said that she's not going to agree with she objected to the bail, to the application of bail, because she wasn't served. But then the judge, in his wisdom, that is why there is a judge, for God's sake, sitting down there. That is why they spend all of those years in training, so that they can make decisions rationally. We want to be able to trust the courts. And one of the most painful things and most embarrassing things that happened, because now it's on the internet, the international community can see how security agencies in their uniforms. I remember when Nigerians were all up on Shehu Kuti's case, when he slapped an officer of the law, and everything we kept saying was, this man is putting on the uniform. You do not Put your hands. You don't disrespect someone in the uniform.
The uniform represents the state.
That is what.
That is the integrity.
Are you now seeing what I was saying when I was saying that we are not patriotic in this country?
And again, you know, this issue of interagency clash is not peculiar to DSS. It's something that is happening in Nigeria time and time
the
again.
army and the
police and civil defense, DSS and EFCC,
road
DSS and
safety
police, road safety, and a lot of interagency clash. But again, we have to look at it holistically. We need to have a total overhaul in the system in terms of the orientation given to our security agencies.
Are they even oriented? No, let us begin there. No, let's begin there.
We cannot say they are not oriented.
No, I'm not saying they are not.
Because they all have their rule books that govern what they do and what they should not do.
Let me put my question in context. I grew up in the city of Jos. 2010, I think. Correct. I stand to be corrected. Soldiers were deployed to Plateau State for peace mission, peacekeeping, right? And they were everywhere. That was the first time I saw soldiers so closely. They are usually in their barracks. Most of the people that were on the road, most of them were not educated. From even the way they talk, you'll be able to know, right? Sometimes you're on the road and you are driving. Now I'm talking around Nigeria generally, and this is not just for the military. Now let's come down to the police. You hear how some of these police officers talk, especially the ones with very low ranking, and you start to wonder if where these people were picked up from, whether or not they were educated. So when I ask that question, are they being oriented? I'm not saying that there is no place for some of them. That I mean, when you see the ones in the offices, you start to wonder if it's the same agency. And I'm talking across all of them, across board. You go to the offices, you see them well dressed. They are sounding very, very intelligent and well trained. Then the ones that we meet every day in the streets, they are not the same. It's not the same. So there is a problem somewhere. Why in the first place will someone in one agency, you people, all of you, your work is to secure lives and property
of Nigerians.
You are servants. Where does the mindset come from that because I am in this agency, I am higher than the person in the other one? If you check, like the guest I had the day that I was dealing with this, he said it's very possible that the prison official that was being dragged by the DSS operative is probably of higher ranking than the person that was dragging him. How do we get to a place where we feel it's okay for you to put your hands on somebody else, especially when the person is putting on his uniform? Both of them were wearing their uniforms. Both of them were properly dressed. In the compound of they were in the premises of the High Court. That's if there's anywhere you're supposed to behave yourself. I come from a family of lawyers. I think maybe that's why this is very personal to me. Because growing up, they had instilled in us, my parents had instilled in us how serious you have to be in court. There are things I cannot wear to enter into a court premise. It has been put into me like that. Or maybe because of my background in law. And then you're in the premise of the courts and you behave like that. The question that have been in my mind, I've not gotten a satisfactory answer to is, was there a better way for this, even if there was an order from above? Was there a better way for this to have been dealt with? And what is the better way that should have been used?
The best answer to that question is the political interest on the Emefiele saga. If you understand the political interest on Emefiele saga, you will know that there couldn't be any other better way than the DSS seizing Emefiele and taking him to their custody. I don't know whether I get it.
Can't they draw? Can't you?
That is what I even expect. If at all, you know, yes, you may have political interest, but you have to act professionally. The court, you've charged him to court, and the court has granted him bail. So pending when he perfect those conditions, go take him to Ikeja Correctional Service Center for their facility there. If at all you are the secret police that we know you to be, you can have your agents, because we believe that back then they'll tell you that they even dress like madmen in the street, that you don't even know the madman that you know for years might turn out to be an SSS operative. So you can actually monitor the process, the proceeding from the court, go to the prison facility. When they perfect the bail, if at all you have another charges that you want to levy against Emefiele, when he's been granted bail, then he's a bit kind of temporarily a free man, you now rearrest him. But again, why would you even have to do that when you have him now? Why can't you charge him on all the counts that you have against him now, so that he faces all?
Aliu, that is even like that you are going far. You are going very far. My oga calls me and says, make sure that man doesn't leave with the correctional, because I'm assuming they don't trust what will happen when they are in the hands of the correctional. We know these things. This is Nigeria. And one thing I want to be doing a lot, especially on Fridays, is these are the issues. Let's discuss them as they really are.
Exactly.
We are all Nigerians. We cannot keep doing this thing with ourselves and expecting that it's going to work out.
Exactly.
So you don't trust the prison service
At all. That's
you
what
feel if he goes there, they will release him or something. You will never have your hand on him. You have your oga, your oga has called to say, make sure that man doesn't leave that place with these prison people. Share him. He knows the oga of the prison people.
Yes.
Why are you not calling yourselves? That is where the place for them working together should come in.
Interagency collaboration.
Do you understand? Call yourselves and say, guy, this is this, that is that. Even if you're going to do your because we know in every government, let's not kid ourselves.
Exactly.
The job of governance is not very clean
at all.
There are some lesser evils you're going to have to choose over others. You guys should among yourselves up there figure it out. It shouldn't get to a place where in the public they are seeing this. Like I always come back to the family. Imagine that a father and a mother have issues and they are always fighting in front of the children.
Definitely.
I don't know if you understand it.
There will be no respect.
There will be no respect. Figure it out behind closed doors there. And let the Godwin Emefiele, who right now seems to be the pawn in the middle of all of the drama that is going on, let him sit down there for hours while you sort it out. My Hausa people say sasanta. I like that word. It's more it gives more weight than sort it out. Let them sasanta their differences. Let them figure it out. And then amongst yourselves, let we Nigerians now be asking, but why did they take him away in the DSS vehicle, not in the prison correctional service, or take him away in the prison correctional vehicle and take him to the DSS office? Why do we have to have people physically fighting? So tomorrow police wants to arrest me, a citizen, for fighting in the streets. No, are you now seeing the ripple effect of this?
Definitely.
I'm in a physical tussle. Is
They're
it
actually
you?
setting a bad precedence for Nigerians too.
Are you the person
emulate.
I'm supposed to come and meet? Is it because the DSS is an arm of the police, right? I think.
No.
They're on their own. They're separate on their own.
Most of the security agencies were extracted from the police. Yeah.
How are you supposed to tell me that as a citizen I am not supposed to lay my hands on another citizen? Meanwhile, you that you are listening to me now, don't think that you can go and fight. They will actually carry you because you don't have a guard top that is going to do anything for you. Let's be guided in the way we do things, because we know that yes, Nigeria is corrupt, but corruption is not cheap. If Godwin Emefiele, the person that was the CBN governor, is in the middle of all of this, is he you, the son of Okoro, that nobody knows you, that they are not going to arrest? Let's be guided. But then again, coming back to this is so embarrassing, and it's sad. This happened on Tuesday. Silence.
Yeah, the DSS actually made a statement, but it's just trying to cover up. You know, they say there is no how you can there is no way you can cover up anything that is not good. Like incompetence, there is no way you can polish incompetence. Yes, for it to look competent.
The only
so
thing
that is
to
it.
do,
He came out to say, that's Afunanya, the spokesperson of the DSS, coming out to say they are investigating to see what happened. They want to find out what happened between their agents and the other prison. But based on what happened there, what we saw, I don't know if you saw the video. The issue there is that it was the DSS that were dragging the correctional services personnel, but he was kind of portrayed it as if it was a fight between the correctional service personnel and his own personnel. You could hear Nigerians from the background shouting shame on DSS, because this is not supposed to, as in, I can't even wrap my head around this kind of situation. But it's a show of shame and a national and international embarrassment on the part of Nigeria.
Exactly, because this is Nigeria. Regardless, this is Nigeria. This is a shame on us. the citizens.
And I think
it's not even just.
I think to have to put a stop to this kind of interagency clashes and one agency feeling superior to other, the president needs to take a decisive action. What I mean by that is that if the president would give a standing order or a marching order, or whenever something like this happens, for instance, this situation now can lead to the sack of Bichi, who is the boss of the DSS.
Absolutely.
This can lead to his sack.
Yes.
But we saw what happened with the DSS in Lagos, EFCC office, the boss still remains. We saw what happened in Abuja. Allegedly, what happened in Abuja, it remains. EFCC chairman is still under detention of the DSS without being charged to court. We don't know what offense he has committed. The boss still remains. This one also happened again on Tuesday. The boss still remains. So what do you think will happen under his supervision that he will go? What I know about security in terms of security in Nigeria is there's what we call what is called precarious liability. When your subject goes wrong, the query goes to you, the oga.
Yes.
That is how it is.
Look, the thing is, when there is no obvious retribution, sin is going to abound. Wrongdoing will abound. When one person goes ahead and does something wrong, and that person doesn't get punished, no head gets rolled, another person will feel like, me too, I can do it. And that's how we got here.
If the boss now tells these people, don't go and do this, if you do, you're going to face the consequences, they will not.
Absolutely.
So also in the police, if the IGP will say this, the subordinate would not go against it. So also in all other security agencies.
It doesn't sound like rocket science to me. I don't know if I've watched too many episodes of Scandal or how. But something like this goes on. You don't release a statement. Somebody gets maybe suspended or discharged, and publicly so. People then thinks something is being done. Someone has to go down for it.
Now, with the lack of action being taken by the government, how do you expect the DSS tomorrow to look at other security agencies as peer or as colleagues? They look at you as you are nobody, you are nothing, because they have the total backing of the president.
Absolutely. That brings us back
and
to when I was asking.
And some people will tell you that they are now being used as agents to carry out the politician's will.
Let us use this to now move into the last story we are going to be looking at. I was thinking we are going to have enough time to discuss the what is it called now, the ministerial list.
Yeah.
I really wish I would discuss it, but I might have to wait till Monday to do that, sadly. Well, Uncle Asari Dokubo, she is gone. That they said they used to take. Okay, let me sound professional. They said it was gun charges that they used to, or gun charges are the reasons why Emefiele is going through all of the drama that he's going through. But then we've had Asari Dokubo brandish AK-47s and make very strong statements on ethnic groups, saying things like he can sell the Igbos, or he will go ahead and do that. His father did that, if not because of the British and all and whatnot. And Nigerian authorities have failed to arrest Asari Dokubo, the former Niger Delta militant, several months after he brandished rifles in a video clip which has now gone viral on social media. Now, Mr. Dokubo has not been arrested or prosecuted despite clearly violating the Nigerian law. Now, since the 20th of June, that was 4 days after he met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a video of him with two different AK-47 rifles, and saying everything that he said. I might quote a few of them while I go ahead with this. Went viral. And then after that, another video of him addressing about 300 men dressed in black, where they were saying things like, whosoever touches the president touches us. If you do anyhow, you are going to see anyhow. And then he goes ahead to make a statement which has been in my heart since the day I watched that video and has been causing me a lot of trouble, where he said, I am not a ghost. I just got back from Makkah. In other words, I passed through your security agencies. They saw me. They knew it was me. There's no way you will travel on Hajj and you will not be identified.
Exactly.
And I was not arrested. I am above the law. He said it. He said it is our turn. We have been waiting for our time. He said it in the video. And nobody is doing anything about it. Now, several non-state players started like this. It is not news to the Nigerian population, especially those who are, it's not far away history, but of course it is history. The things that Asari Dokubo did in the Niger Delta.
Exactly.
And I think one of the reasons he's a free man today is because he was granted
amnesty.
Thank
by
you.
late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua.
Thank you very much. And if not, he would have been in, I don't know where, maybe Kirikiri or somewhere. But he's out here and he's talking a lot. The first time we saw him was shortly after the inauguration of the president. He went to visit him and then he made a press statement in the State House with the coat of arms behind him, and a lot of Nigerians were bothered by that, but that was some kind of show off. I don't want to use the word power, but yes. And then up next you see him with all of those guns saying a lot of derogatory things about what do you call it now? The Igbos.
Wike also and Fubara.
Yeah, exactly, about Wike to and Fubara. In fact, he came out in another very recent video. He was telling the current sitting governor of Rivers State that he should behave.
Yeah, really, if we are to sit and be describing or bringing what Asari has done or said, it's going to take us a very long time. But again, it all boils down to how we looked at security in this country and how we take governance in this country. First of all, the DSS are supposed to be after Asari. Based on what has happened, based on the videos that we've seen, and based on the utterances he has made, the DSS are supposed to be after Asari so that he should come and explain. He has a lot of questions to answer. But again, the responsibility now, or the major player now in all of this that is in a difficult situation, is this president. Because he came to the villa. That was when he made that allegation against the Nigerian military, saying they are involved in over 90% or 99% of the oil theft going on in the Niger Delta. We saw that video, even though that video of him brandishing AK-47 was traced to be an old video. But again, what was done when he did that video? And if at all we were not privy to see that video, now that the video has gone viral, what has the security agencies done about that video? And now him coming back from Saudi, where we saw him with a lot of people there, even the way they were parading military training or security organized training, that was the parade they were doing. Is it allowed for a non-state actor or an individual to have those number of persons saying they are working for Mr. President? This
Especially
is an indictment on the part of
has,
the president.
Yes.
You already know the antecedent of this person. Just like we said earlier, he was granted amnesty. He was on detention before he was granted amnesty in 2007 when late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua came to power. And now you're allowing this man to go ahead to continue doing all of these things. It is not saying well on the personality of the president of Nigeria, because he has to have a level of control over his political allies. Yes, Asari Dokubo might have worked for him to emerge as president, just like he's saying they are working for President Tinubu, but he has to also control your people. If at all you want to have a smooth sailing, because you can't afford to be setting this kind of bad precedents for others. If at all Asari, who is coming out to say I am working for the president or we are working for the president, if you are challenging a sitting governor, as in, I mean,
is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that Asari gets to say these things shortly after, in the closing of the case of the APC and Tinubu at the tribunal? There was a statement made about anarchy.
Yeah.
Should, in case the tribunal ends with them saying that President Tinubu was not the president.
Yeah, we might not directly link that to this particular scenario, but again, it's something that the president need to take a decisive step. He need to take a bold step and control Asari. Yes, there is no person that will get to the position of the president without having this kind of people. You have to manage the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you are a leader, certainly you have those kind of people.
But then people should see you managing them.
Of course, how you manage those people is very, very critical in this situation. So I think the onus lie on the president now to make sure he controls the way Asari go about doing his things.
I think adding to what you have said, for me, it's all about the economic wealth accumulation and distribution of whoever are found themselves in position of power. Asari lost out doing the bidding for the pipeline security across Nigeria. He lost out to OPC, he lost out to Tompolo. Now is now the time for him to also earn such wealth through that kind of process, and that's why he's fronting so seriously that and putting attention on the president so that he can have something for himself in that regard. So what I'm trying to point out is this: for all those people that Ali pointed out, allied or president here and there, Asari is just showing forth using the hard tax to show forth. There are some people who are using the soft tax to also show forth how they are supporting the president and how they want the president to get attention to them. But for Asari own, it need to be controlled, because we cannot afford such a scenario whereby we now have a Wagner kind of a Nigerian own. If you understand, the Wagner private military kind of
Russia.
We don't exactly Russia. We don't want such in Nigeria. Also, we also understand how this kind of non-state actors, what they play, especially when we look at the Niger Delta axis of Nigeria. For the past 15 years now, we have had peace in that area. As a result of war, most of the militants laid down their arms, and government gave them amnesty and they embraced them. But we also need to also understand that this set of people have opportunity to turn around if they don't have that kind of close relationship with the seat of power. And that's what Asare want to do. But he doesn't want to do it jokingly. He want to do it hardly. And that's why he's showing forth AK-47. He's showing forth. If you see the way Tompolo entered the government, he never entered the government by talking about showing forth what they call it, AK-47. But Asare want to do it in his own style. But we hope that style will not boomerang on him and his people.
Well, I do feel like this is not something to be taken lightly. People like this can spiral out of control.
Definitely.
We have enough insecurity problems in Nigeria. We have too many in our hands, especially in the southern part of Nigeria. I'm talking the southeast now. We can't afford at this point. It's like there's petrol everywhere. Any tiny spark and we are in trouble. We are standing, we can't afford it. We just can't afford it as a nation. We've worked